at the police station, standing in line, waiting my turn. My calls were some detectives, and I left messages. I was hoping I could get somebody, maybe go in a little bit sooner, but they didn't respond. They got other stuff going on, or they didn't answer. I got other stuff going on, so I have to wait, and hopefully I can get in here and talk to somebody and get some help. There's evidence. I have evidence. I have plenty of evidence. Elon Musk's involvement, some Neuralink's involvement, and the pedophile club as well. But I want to talk about this. I was thinking about something I said in one of the other videos where I said I looked up Ku Klux Klan Hollingsworth and I found a case where they're talking about the Klan and everything that was outlined, and that situation happened here. So you know what they said? We're going to tell people you just looked up C.J. Hollingsworth and it came up. So they just want to lie at every turn just so they can control the storyline. But this is the same thing that happened throughout that situation. I was looking up Hollingsworth. I wanted to check out like his ancestors, see how much involvement they've had in this in the past, and I did find some. But I was doing that after I looked up Elon Musk's ancestors and saw that his family was in Africa, and they went there after they robbed them and conquered some of their territory. If you keep going back, you see that relatives that were in the British military, and that's why he said that America's his, it's already been enslaved. And why he's so privileged, he said his name carries prestige, and it's his birthright to be able to have everything. Has that privileged thought process to where everything should just be given to him without him having to work for it. Speaking on what happened with Africa, 1500s, they went in, Mansa Musa, richest man in the world, they went in and robbed his descendants. You had Mansa Musa traveling around the world, so you can talk to his people and say, okay, this is what Africa has, and you have, the British who said, well, all right, we're going to go and rob them. So what they do is they start a human trafficking ring out of people who knew what was going on, witnesses. They want to erase your memory of what you had. So that's the same thing that they're doing with us. That's the same thing they've done with plenty of other people. And see, like Martin Luther King, Jesus, they all went through the same story, the same situation. You have to join the Illuminati, right? If you don't join the Illuminati, which is evil, you have to be evil. Don't want to be evil, you don't want to allow them to extort you and be a part of your life, then they just rob you, right? They rob you and rob your people. And the same thing that happened there is happening here, except they want to target the Asian community. And where in Africa it was labor trafficking, in this situation it's sex trafficking, and they're targeting Asians because my business and my life had a foundation of Asian in it, because I was in Westminster, in Garden Grove, Fountain Valley, around that area, and that's where they migrated to, or Vietnamese migrated to when they came to America. In the same situation, right? They went in, divide and conquer, created conflict, overthrow your government, tell you want to go to safety, go over here, time to go to America, or into their sex trafficking realm. They were overthrowing me in my life, basically. They said I couldn't have the legacy I was building for myself. I couldn't have the business that had all the compartments that it had in it. I had to make a sacrifice for white supremacy because they wanted white influence to be on top. And so they didn't want Elon Musk to have to compete with me, or Elon Musk didn't want to have to compete with me if I was to blow up as an entrepreneur and be more intelligent than him. I have a quote out. If you check my Facebook Monkey with the Mohawk, Facebook/Monkey with the Mohawk. I moved all the quotes from Twitter over there. Twitter's Coach Darion, by the way, CoachDerion. You'll see I have a quote. It said, Elon Musk had a bone to pick with Darion because you're smarter than him. That's one of the things Neuralink does, which I said, or, they said you shouldn't have been smarter than us, I gotta pay for it. And, back in the day, if you were black and you were intelligent, you were lynched, right? And this is the same people. divide and conquer is a war strategy, and even in Vietnam War, I said that they did the same thing, but they declared war on me and my basketball program. They said Air Force Special Forces, U.S. Army, Secret Service agent, and then they had an FBI agent. The Westminster PD joined them. If you know the history of the Klan, they invade governments every time. It's the same thing every time. It's protocol. And then you get the police involved or gang stalk you. They went over to Westminster PD, got some of them, got Garden Grove involved. They had a Fountain Valley officer involved. They got Huntington Beach officer involved. But with him, I didn't really see him do much. Saw him sitting across the street in a car watching me. He didn't really do as much. Fountain Valley officer saw me walk into a gas station late at night, right? He stopped his vehicle in the middle of the street. Just watched me. I can see it. He's watching me. I'm sitting in his car in the middle of the street. I walk in. I'm waiting to see what he's going to do. Pull into the gas station. But he's waiting for me to leave. He watched me. I went in, bought what I was going to buy, got in my car, stayed across the street, in the middle of the street watching. And then once I pulled out of the gas station, he left. And, that combined with Garden Grove PD saying, stay out of Garden Grove, or you'll never have a business in Garden Grove again. It's one of the most racist situations involving law enforcement, especially that I've ever been through. I was the person who said racism didn't exist. That was me. I was the person who was pro-police, arguing their point. And so this is a shocker. This is a lot. Yeah, the Secret Service agent going after kids, Westminster PD funneling kids out of my program. They said that they had to beware of me, or they were investigating me, and they weren't allowed to be involved with me while I was being investigated. They had to go over to CJ Hollingsworth or Secret Service saying you have to go over to Tai Do, and it's the same thing. They're telling them that that's safety, but in reality, that's a human trafficking ring or a child sex trafficking ring that they were sending everybody to. Then you have the FBI agent who was doing the COINTELPRO thing, to where they follow you everywhere you go, so they can control the narrative of your intent. Same thing they did with Malcolm X. Same thing they did with Martin Luther King. You can check vault.fbi.gov and see that everything's documented. The exact same thing they're doing to them, they're doing to me. That is the foundation of the sex trafficking industry or human trafficking industry. They find somebody they're going to rob or overthrow, whether it's a government, whether it's a business organization, who are positive, right, enlightening, or you're good to people, and they don't want that to be in society. So they invade you, rob you after separating you, sex traffic witnesses, and then they want to cover it up. So everybody they use to help you out, or help them out, these different groups of people, or these individuals, they end up helping with the sex trafficking as well. So that's where we're in. Again, that is the foundation of the human trafficking industry. So helping me, or helping us, can actually shut them down. This is the Epstein people, this is the Pizzagate people, this is even Kobe's situation, right? It's everybody. Everybody that they grabbed and they had to help them to dethrone me or overthrow me out of my life. They had anybody who had influence over the kids in my program, they had to go to them, right? Then they end up being the leaders of what they end up calling a sex club, which is also a cult. Elon Musk is a cult guy. He brags about cults. Cult is the concentration for sex trafficking. So, right, you're there, and then if you don't want to be sex trafficked, you're punished. And then those who are extremely pure, or who are too attached to me, they end up being tortured or killed. If you refuse to allow them to sexually abuse you, it's the same thing. So that's how the sex trafficking works. And with the occult practices, right, where they're killing the innocent, that's what that is. All the conspiracy theory. conspiracy theories are all intertwined into one as the same people. And then when they're building these cover-ups, you have people selling drugs, you have gun trafficking, it's everything. So like I said before, this is the FBI and this is ICE's biggest cases. Again, the people they use for this, if you think about GTA, you got local law enforcement, federal law enforcement, military personnel. That's what they use for all of it, and that's the same structure as COINTELPRO, right? If you check the files, if the military is involved, and the FBI is involved, Secret Service involved, they don't really say it, they don't note it, and then you have local law enforcement, and then the civilians that they get to help out with everything. That I spoke up earlier. A lot of times, since they're using the CIA's name, it'll be CIA operatives, or CIA translators, or diplomats, whatever they want to call it, people with influence that they can use. Biggest case, white supremacy in the military, people being overthrown, governments being overthrown, and then you have ICE's biggest case, military trafficking in the United States. That's what it is. They had the Garden Grove base. They supplied some people, or Elon Musk went over there and found some people to help out, and they're helping with the concentration or killing people. They said that they were killing people who had aliens in them. Really, it was Neuralink. Or they said they had demons in them and they had to kill them. That was their excuse. But either way, there's no reason to kill people. But they're living and they're not going by the Constitution. If you look up, once again, Ku Klux Klan Hollingsworth, and you read that document, you'll see they go by the Ku Klux Klan Constitution. And that's what Neuralink is doing. They'll call it Illuminati government or alternate universe government. It's everything. It's the same thing. And they use this human trafficking ring, they use human trafficking victims to cover up the fact that they're being robbed and the initial victim, me, is being robbed. So they'll go to police departments, they'll invade the government's mayor's office, city council, they invade district attorney's office, defense attorney's office, courthouses. You can look up 200 people arrested in trafficking, for trafficking, and you'll see there's 200 person, 250 person. That's what this is. That's just them taking over a city. If you look at the Ku Klux Klan's history, they go into a city, they take it over. They don't talk about the sex trafficking associated with the Klan, but that's what it was, and that's what we're going through right now. You look up police cover-up sex trafficking ring. Those are police officers who, once again, were extorted were extorted, and they didn't want it to be something at all. Officers didn't want the trafficking ring to be successful, so you end up being the one that gets arrested. And same thing with the rest of the people. They had one where it said a former judge was arrested. Normally, if it's a high position like that, the Klan don't want to damage government, so they're even over the media, right? So they'll use the media, say former police officer, stuff like that. And again, that's what we're going through. If you look up Operation Trade Secrets, right? They'll name everything subliminally to tell you that's exactly what it was. They're robbing somebody of their trade secrets over in Florida. It's a human trafficking ring. That's what they called Operation Trade Secrets, or Operation Midnight Climax. Read that. When I brought that up, they said, okay, you say it's Operation Midnight Climax, so at midnight, the kids are going to pay for it. That's something that they said to me. The people who are doing this, once again, they did this to Jesus. Moses went through it. There's a bunch of people throughout the Bible, all the evil in the Bible. It's the same situation over and over again. They just pull different parts out of the pyramid that they built and say, this is the story, here's some of the story. But there's always more to it than we know. And as I've said before, for us now, they pull parts of that pyramid out, and now it's a new story instead of a Bible story. But there's a lot more that's always covered up. And that's what I'm trying to end, trying to rid the world of evil, pretty much. And that's my job. That's my job. It's my God-given job. God doesn't want slavery on earth. He doesn't want everybody to be enslaved. And now Elon Musk, if you know who the Antichrist is, if you look up Antichrist Elon Musk, and you'll see that there's plenty of people who can see it. But the Antichrist is supposed to take over one city at a time, make everybody think he's the good guy, right? And how they're taking over every city is they're going in, they're invading the police departments, they're using extortion, sex trafficking ring. And once again, starting in Westminster and Garden Grove, they had some officers at Westminster who were just down. They said they wanted to be the bad guy. They wanted my life. They were told that they could compete for it. The city of Westminster, that they own me, right? Because Tai Do was the finder. He's the one who was getting the finder's fee. Since he was city councilman, so they said Westminster owned me. So Westminster PD was in on it. They were covering things up initially. And there's kids that are dead who they're helping cover up, right? They went to schools and told schools Darren's not allowed on campus, right? And this is after I went to the schools to try to let them know about the sex trafficking ring and warn them about the kids. So they're following behind me to stop me from being able to save everybody. So it's an alternate universe, like they call it, to where people were good or bad. Now, initially, Neuralink were contractors. They were being used, but Neuralink said they were tired of being people's bitches. That's what they said. They didn't want to be the military's bitch anymore. And but really, there's them following orders. The military, they had the military Klan members. They had this thought process that we're just going to be badasses and you just got to do what we say. So that was Neuralink's mindset. And then the thing was, they were picking on me because they felt like I was the most inferior. Don't know where they got that from, but that's what they got it. So I've had to outline everything. I told them, if you didn't let us go, I was going to dissect your entire existence. And that's where it is. Great Britain invaded us. Great Britain did the same thing to Hitler, right? You changed the image of Hitler. Like they said that I hated Asians. I said he hated Jews. And they sent my people to concentration camps, smaller concentration camps, but they did the same thing with his people, with the Jews, right? They had to go to concentration camps. Know me, I love Asians, right? I have no problem with Asians at all. My whole foundation of my business, all the support that I had from the area, the majority of it was Asian. So why would I hate them, right? But that's the thought process. And then they're watching my phone. Anything I say, they're cutting it up, sending it around. This is what he just said. Put this with this, and it'll just make him look as bad as possible. Even today, they're still watching my phone. Since they have Neuralink inside of me, they're talking to me, rubbing everything that's going on in my face. Said with Hitler, he was being robbed, right? He had an economical plan that they wanted, and once he was gone, they replicated it with other people, and I don't know, more than likely the ones that he got wasn't what they wanted. Or what it initially was, because just like with me, they're replicating everything that I had going on into Elon Musk's pedophile club, and they're pretending like CJ is the one that did everything. They wanted to make CJ look tough, like they even said they were trying to teach him how to fight, and trying to toughen him up, so he can play the role of Darion. Secret Service agent told him that he can literally have my life because he's done this before. He can take over my life, and they wanted me to be homeless, and he was going to walk around saying that he's Darion. They even had him, they were saying they even had him walk around his house saying that he's Darion, just reciting. And they're replicating an evil version, right? Because once again, they wanted me to use Bollocksy for sex trafficking. They said that if you work with Asians, that's what it had to be about. They called it Asian benefits. To where they would have kids giving blowjobs. And it sucks because I can't just go into a police station and say, I need help, this is what's going on, come in, because everybody who's being held hostage, right, they have to help cover it up. Everybody who's in the human trafficking, they call it the Illuminati of Orange County at first, just in Orange County, the extortion and sex trafficking ring. So anybody who's involved with it, your primary role is to cover up my existence. As I said before they were even using some of this terminology, they had a group of people that were covering up my existence. But that's who it is. Everybody who helped dethrone me, or the police that are involved, the kids that are being held hostage, everybody. So I spoke with one of the officers. He gave me a number to call for their human trafficking unit. He was saying identity theft at first, because I was just laying out some of the things that I've gone through. But I want to focus on human trafficking because It's one of the biggest ones. I'm being trafficked for influence, intelligence, and entertainment. Influence, right? And being influencer is a position in life, right? That's the job, and it's hard work. So when you gain influence, it's yours. But if I'm recruiting people and they're contacting people behind me saying, don't work with him, work with us, come over here, join us, go to this person who's doing the same thing, right? Or I'm or intelligence, to where they're copying everything that I do, whether it's website design, and I'm using WordPress to do things that other people would be charging hundreds of thousands of dollars for websites, and I'm doing it for really cheap. So they're copying me and then having their and entertainment, because they're running the show of my life, where they're passing around a link, and they're cutting up my phone, or they're taking this, so they're screen recording right now as I'm talking, right? And they take it, they cut it up, they take out information that they don't want people to see sometimes, or sometimes they let it go all the way, and you have to watch it with them, right? Because once again, they want to gain influence off of anything that I do. They're milking my existence for everything they can get out of it. And even with that, like anything I say, anything I think about, they repurpose it and use it for what they're doing, or rob me of my thought process, or my knowledge, and uploading it into their artificial intelligence. So just my reasoning skills, that's one thing as well, or my ability to dissect, or analytical ability, pretty much, taking and uploading it into their artificial intelligence to make their artificial intelligence think like me. So sex trafficked in the state of California. If somebody is performing a sex act and it's being live streamed somewhere else without their permission to an audience of one or more persons, then they're being sex trafficked. So that's what I was doing. I was masturbating in front of my phone when this first started, and they took it and they started passing it around. And they have since taken footage of me masturbating, and that's 4 years ago. I haven't done it since. They've taken it and they've added pornography. Like, they went and searched up pornography and added it next to it to make me look as bad as possible, right? Because once again, they're a pedophile club and they're living a reverse narrative of life. So anything they're doing, they're claiming I'm doing. So they even said we get to watch child porn because we're with the police. That's not how life works, and that's not my objective. So with that, right, if I contact somebody trying to get help, they're sending them links and saying that this is what I'm doing, and they're passing around telling people not to investigate me, or saying that they're pedophile club members, whether it be the FBI agent, the Secret Service agent, or Westminster PD, or Garden Grove PD. They say they're investigating, or I'm lying, I'm blaming them for something that they're doing, or they say that they're the ones that are stopping human trafficking. Basically, that's how evil does it. They follow around the good. They replicate anything that you do. I'm trying to find it. There was this one verse, or there was this one meeting that they were talking about. I saw a video on it where Jesus told his people that somebody would come behind him preaching everything that he was preaching. That's the same thing. So like CJ or the pedophile club, they're Barabbas, if you know the Jesus story, where they were choosing out of who you wanted to the people wanted to release. And Barabbas was a serial killer and a rapist, and CJ, he's killed people, he's raped people. Tai Do, same thing. Tai Do's killed and raped kids, police officers, and then even with the police officers that are involved initially, that are in the pedophile club, they were killing kids as well. It was being rubbed in my face, so they were taunting me. They weren't necessarily telling me everything. They were taunting me that they were doing it. So I mean, there's kids that are missing. And then they go to the parents. So even like with Richard Fan, where he wanted to talk to me, I wanted to talk to him. I was outside of his house, but we were communicating through Neuralink. That was back when I wasn't 100% sure, like if the system was working in everybody's favor or not. But he didn't come outside when I was there. He waited. Secret Service agent pulled up, and then he came out and got in his vehicle. And that was the last time I saw him. And from there, they rubbed it in my face. And I wasn't expecting it. I didn't fill up on gas like I should have. The Secret Service agent came, picked them up, they left. So I couldn't follow them as far as I wanted to. I regret that more than anything right now. Then they rubbed in my face how they pulled over and started sexually abusing him. Secret Service agent forced him to give him blowjobs. And then he was over Tai Do's house. And then from there, Tai Do didn't want him anymore because they said if you don't want to be with Tai Do or CJ, then you have to die, because they were the front men for this human trafficking ring. So they took him and then killed him and rubbed it in my face, though, like for an hour straight. That's all they talked about. It was just taunting me. And then up on Instagram, I look at his account, and the picture, his profile picture, was a Secret Service agent. He had a hat on, and he was on a boat. That was after they told me that they cut him up and threw him off of a boat, threw him into the water. So this was them taunting me on Instagram, rubbing it in my face what they were doing. Now, since Neuralink took over, that was their first kill. The original guys were doing it. The FBI agent was doing it initially. And then from there, they told me Vigo was killed right afterwards. But what they were doing was because since they killed Richard, they wanted to cover it up and just start saying that a bunch of different people were dying. But I saw Vigo shortly after, which kind of made me question everything again, because before that I was being lied to about some of the things that were going on, and I knew. But then I saw him. So I'm like, okay, well, he's still alive. But they started talking about killing people so much. You got the police officers thought that, okay, well, if everybody's doing it, that's their job. So that's why they got involved with killing kids. And from there, they said any kid that doesn't want to give them blowjobs had to die. So they're going through the area, and they started this sex club thing, right? They're getting everybody involved with sex clubs. Everything was sexualized from when they were streaming me masturbating, or they gave me Bluetooth, actually. They gave me Bluetooth, they gave me other sexual stimulants before when it first started, and I was talking about it. So they were using my conversation to get the kids involved and try to sexualize the kids, just talking to them about it, and then bringing them in, and then I guess the kids got sexual with each other, and the adults, they said, we're going to be involved with that, that's what we want, and that's part of the reason Neuralink took over. They said they wanted Neuralink to be involved, so they said they wanted to be involved with sex. They wanted Neuralink's foundation behind the scenes to be involved with sex. They wanted to take the sex trafficking industry from the people who were running the Illuminati before, behind the scenes. And it wasn't the whole Klan, right? You had Air Force Special Forces, which was controlling some of it. You had some U.S. Army members who were controlling some of it. And these guys said, okay, we're going to rob them. So since everybody was connected to the computer-brain interface, once again, it's a filter of information that goes through. And everybody's quiet, right? Nobody talks about this in person. So the only communication you have with everybody is through Neuralink. So they're controlling whatever information you get. And like I said in the video yesterday, people were told that they were in charge, but you're not really in charge, because you think what you want to happen. Neuralink tells somebody what they want to happen, and they come back and tell you that what you said you wanted is what happened. So eventually you structure it so Neuralink's on top, Elon Musk is on top, and everybody else basically is their bitches. They actually call the FBI agent a bitch. As I've said before, this technology, God's technology, they said they're taking all of it now. Neuralink weren't supposed to be the bad guys all the way, but they had to cover up the fact that they were supposed to help people, right? That was their original purpose. But there was so much envy involved with the situation. Like I said yesterday, they were upset about me saying that the things that they were accusing me of, like the thought process they were accusing me of, was wrong. I just thought differently than they did, and once again they said I can't have a thought process that's different than everybody else. I was soul washed, right, brainwashed, and everything that I was studying, so I didn't see everything like everybody else. We'd look at the same thing, and I would have a different view than you. That's why they say I was psychic and I had superpowers. There's no superpowers. It's just a different thought process. That's it. And that is why I'm the monkey with the mohawk, right? Elon Musk referred to me as a monkey with a slight dark mohawk in a CNBC article. Referred to me as a slave in real life, and that's what it was. Captured individual that's in the same situation as Jesus, right? God is involved. This is his battle as well against slavery. It's not something that he wanted in society, not something he wanted on earth. So while it may be hard to believe, the Klan are the guys who go around going around robbing intelligent people, killing religious people. You know, they go overseas using other people's governments or creating what they call coups outside the United States, inside the Klan militias. And if you have somebody who's too religious, they'll call them a terrorist on one side. They call me a terrorist too. They call Martin Luther King, Malcolm X terrorists, while they rob them of everything and start sex trafficking their supporters and followers. People who say, no, that technology doesn't exist. You can't talk about telepathy, right? You can go to a hospital. I've been told, you know, when I call ask for help, some departments, well, the hospital's over there, go talk to them, or you need to seek a doctor. Same thing, I post this online sometimes. And also sometimes when it's online, they've already contacted the person on the other side so they can control them, or they're threatening them, telling them you have to go against them. Don't listen to anything he says, to say he's crazy. That's the same thing. I use departments in Orange County. The technology exists. The FDA approved of them to use the technology, so you can't say it doesn't exist, right? Those are the people you look up to. Or you can't say the Klan doesn't do this when the state of California said that everything I'm saying, the whole cover-up scenario, is real. They have a report that they wrote about it. You can't say that because of your beliefs when people who are above you say it's real. So that's another brief rundown of everything going on. So I have going on in my life. That's what the kids have going on right now. I wouldn't get them free so bad. I'm sorry you guys got to go through this. I'm so sorry. I didn't know there was a such thing as being too intelligent. I didn't know there was a such thing as... Oh, fuck, I didn't know racism was like this. I didn't get it. I didn't know. And I know I'm not who you would think God would be involved with, but God's a very forgiving person. And when we were going on walks because he wanted to groom me, remember Neuralink was inside of me. Elon Musk was listening in on all of our conversations. They were using artificial intelligence to cover up anybody's voice that I could potentially talk to, so they could take over. They said they wanted to be God. They wanted to be the devil, and that's what they're doing when they invade other people. They pretend to be everybody to get any and everybody to do anything they say. And a lot of it's believable because it's telepathic technology. Once again, you got a lot of people who don't know it exists, and they don't need a chip as much as you think they do. The chip is the front for alternate universe technology, future technology. Was called afterlife chip at one point, heaven chip, a death chip, but it's chipped on the other side. It's not chipped in our universe, and that's something that most people don't understand because it's not something that's publicized. Normally, when the technology enters Earth, they just make up a bunch of stuff about it. You say, okay, well that's what it is because that's what they said.